Friday, April 16th, at 9:20. We can get started with roll call.
Good morning, City of Miami. Patricia Vega with the City of Miami. Bill Ramos,
Present?
Kevin Deeb. Kevin Deeb.
Present.
Ben Fernandez. James Angleton.
Present.
Stephen Johnson. Alan Hall.
Present.
Gregory Gay.
Present.
Nancy Gallino.
Here.
Erica Pascual. Pierre Rutledge. Thank you.
Sorry, could I ask everyone to put their masks on, if you don't mind? Can you put your mask on, please?
Oh, she's requesting that we put our mask, that you put
Yeah.
your mask on?
Would you? Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
All right. Next up,
Good morning. Any person who acts as a lobbyist pursuant to the City of Miami Ordinance Number 11469, codified in Chapter 2, Article 6, the City Code must register with the City Clerk prior to engaging in lobbying activities before city staff, boards, committees, and the City Commission. A copy of said ordinance is available in the office of the City Clerk, City Hall. Thank you.
okay, thank you. All right, next up is the approval of minutes for the December 18th meeting.
So moved.
We've got a first from Alan.
Second.
And a second from Jim. Any comments on it? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any against? None? Okay, motion approved for the minutes of December 18th. Thank you. Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair,
Alfredo?
question for staff. Was there any public comment on the phone or virtually?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we're moving on. Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Alfredo.
Good morning, everyone. Alfredo Duran, Assistant Director, Department of Housing and Community Development. Item number 2 on our agenda today is a recommendation by staff pertaining to the allocation of $1 million in home funds to Brisas del Este Apartment LLC in connection with the development of Brisas del Este Apartments project. Brisas del Este Apartment LLC is a Florida limited liability company created by Mr. Albert Milo, whose managing members are related LLCs created by Mr. Milo and Mr. George Perez. Together, Mr. Milo and Mr. Perez have developed thousands of affordable units throughout the state of Florida and have been one of the City of Miami's most active affordable housing developers. On February 25th, 2019, the Department of Housing and Community Development issued a pipeline request for proposal for the development and preservation of affordable homeownership and rental housing. The proposed development was evaluated and found to be in compliance with the requirements of the RFP for funding consideration. Brisas del Este Apartment is a proposed new construction of an 8-story mid-rise building located in a vacant parcel within the public housing property known as 3 Round Towers project at 3000 Northwest 18th Avenue, Miami and Allapattah neighborhood. The project will contain a total of 161 units. It will consist of 1 and 2 bedrooms. 30 units will be home assisted for low and very low income households. The remaining 131 units will be serve incomes of up to 80% AMI, and 30 units will be set aside for public housing tenants. The project will provide service parking as well as parking garage for the tenants. The project's total development cost of $46.6 million will be funded in part with $28.5 million in Miami-Dade County tax-exempt bonds, $5 million in state of Florida CDBG funds, $3 million in Miami-Dade County surtax, $7.3 million in low-income housing tax credit equity, $1.9 million in deferred development fee, and the requested $1 million in City of Miami Home Program funds. The city's total home loan equates to 2% of the project's total loan to cost, or $6,211 per total project units, and $33,300 per home assisted units, which is well below the home program per unit limits. The city's permanent loan will be in a fourth lien position behind $14.5 million from Bank of America, $5 million in state CDBG, and $3 million in Miami-Dade County surtax. The proposed rental rates for the 1- and 2-bedroom units, targeting 30 to 80% AMI, are addressing the city's extremely to very low-income housing needs and are in compliance with the city's home program guidelines. The project's proposed operating cost is consistent with the similar projects, and the financing structure proposed for this development will permit the projects to sustain itself throughout the required affordability period. Based on the experience of the developer, the project's ability to proceed, as well as addressing the extremely low and low-income housing needs of the city, it is the department's recommendation for the approval of $1 million in home program funds to finance in part the development of Brisas del Este apartments, subject to the conditions contained in the department's memorandum to the committee. Members of the development team are here, as well as staff, for your questions.
All right, thank you. We'll open the floor to Mr. Milo. Welcome back.
Good morning. Good to see everyone here in person. So as Mr. Duran mentioned, Albert Milo, President, Related Urban, sorry, Patty. We're a little out of practice there, right, with the virtual stuff. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here. As Mr. Duran mentioned, this is another new construction phase within a public housing project, 3 round towers, which we are in the process of finalizing the renovations on that project. The city previously supported Brisas del Este, actually phase 2. This is phase 1. Phase 2 actually got built before phase 1, so that's will be completed in the beginning of the year. This phase is actually a little bit larger. It's 161 units, and as you mentioned, we'll have 30 units for the home program. Again, mixed income. It'll be a combination of affordable and workforce housing because we've already taken care of all of the senior residents at that particular location, and so it's part of the ongoing evolution, as you've heard me speak before in front of this body, about taking some of these underutilized public housing sites, addressing the needs of the existing public housing residents, but adding additional affordable and workforce housing stock. In this case, it's about 2% of the financing, but again, we always want to make sure that we have collaboration. In this case, we have state, county, and then a little bit of city funding there. So thank you guys for your consideration.
Thank you. I remember those round towers. As a child, I had a grandparent that lived in.
Yeah,
So,
you should.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any comments or questions from committee members?
Nope.
Go ahead.
Alan does.
Oh, Alan, go ahead, Alan.
Mr. Milo, I was concerned about the speed at which you are projecting the development. I'm sorry. Do you think that speed is achievable, the schedule?
You mean the schedule of it?
Yes.
Yeah, we're already in permitting. Project's been in permitting, so we're in underwriting, and so the idea is to break ground in a couple of months. So yeah, we're certainly well advanced in the project. It's not at the conceptual stage.
You're comfortable with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, one more question. I noticed that the soft costs in this project are extremely high. Can you address that, please?
What portion of the soft costs? Because the soft costs are a large component, so.
Well, for example, loan closing is $1,273,000. When I practiced law, it never came up to anywhere near like that.
Yeah, so that is a compilation of different components. This is a bond transaction. The bond transaction by itself, tax-exempt bond deals, just in all of the trustees and attorneys and all of the parties involved is on average $500,000-$600,000 just in that. So any bond deal is going to have that level of cost. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast. I mean, if you get on one of these phone calls with what it takes to close a bond deal, it's amazing. I don't even participate anymore because there's 25 people on a call talking about what they need and what piece of paper they want to get a bond deal done. So it's...
So is this a standalone bond deal?
Standalone bond deal, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have a question. I'm not sure if you said that. The land, is it a city-owned land? No, it's private.
It's county-owned
County-owned.
land.
County.
County-owned land, so there's a previous public housing owned by the county in the city of Miami. So we've done, I don't know, a lot of these already. And we have a long-term ground lease with the county.
Okay.
We renovate. There's usually existing units on there. In this case, there's 391 units of elderly housing. So we take care of the residents first, and then in the excess land, we come and we put financing packages together to build new construction, which this is what this is. This is actually the second new construction building on this land, because it was like 7 acres, so it had a lot more density than was there today, so that's how we do it. So, yeah, so this is the second new construction deal on site. But it is county-owned land, it remains county-owned land. We do a ground lease for 75 years with the county, and then we put the package together of financing.
So when you say that you take care of the residents first, what do you mean? Like, do you?
So our approach is, so we come into a site, even though a site may have extra land to build housing, if we do build housing on that extra land, we want to make sure that some of that is for the residents. In this case, we renovated or in the process of finishing the renovations on those towers, so we have new housing for those residents. We're never going to try to build extra units without taking care of whoever lives on that particular site.
Okay.
What's your timetable on execution and starting
So
construction?
we'll be
Please state your name.
closing in the fall there now, so,
James Angleton.
yeah. So we'll be closing now in the fall. Like I said, we're in permitting already, in the second round of permitting and stuff.
Mr.
All right.
Chairman, if you're looking for any support on this, I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready to entertain one.
Yes, just about. Is there any other public comment? None? Okay, well, all right, take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, based on staff recommendation, I'd like to offer an approval, a consent on this project and wish them well.
Second, Alan Hall.
All right, we have a first from Jim, a second from Alan. Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? None? Motion approved. Mr. Milo?
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, Alfredo. We have
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the purpose of letting one of the affected individuals that is on their way, which is item number 3, I'd like to look at item number 4 first, who is here right now.
Okay,
And item number 4 is staff's recommendation pertaining to the approval of the subordination agreement and modification on the title in connection with the city's loan to Mr. Ernesto Hernandez Borrell. On September 7, 2018, Ernesto Hernandez Borrell, a city employee, was approved for $40,000 through the City of Miami Employee Loan Program to purchase a property located at 5826 Southwest 3rd Street. The loan required Mr. Borrell to remain in the property as his principal residence for a period of 10 years. To comply with the program's qualification standards, it was necessary at the time for Mr. Borrell to include a co-borrower, Ms. Sylvia B. Canetti, and she was included in the purchase as a co-borrower that permitted Mr. Borrell in acquiring the property. Mr. Borrell is in the process of securing a first mortgage with National Lending Corporation that would reduce his current interest rate by 2.5%, allowing him to pay off his current loan and reduce his monthly payments to a level that he can afford. At this time, Mr. Borrell is requesting that the city allow for the subordination of the city's loan to the new first mortgage and the release of Ms. Canetti from the loan as his co-borrower. The department has income certified Mr. Borrell and has determined that he meets the qualifying guidelines of the program on his own. As such, it is the department's recommendation to approve the city's subordination to the new first mortgage from National Lending Corporation and to permit Ms. Canetti to quit claim her interest to the property to Mr. Borrell. Mr. Hernandez Borrell is here to answer any questions, and so as am I.
All right, we'll open the floor for comments.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Ernesto
Can
Hernandez.
you get a little closer?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ernesto Hernandez. I'm just here to see if you can approve my subordination of the loan. So I can do it just by myself. And in this case, as he said, I meet all the requirements, which I didn't have in that moment when I bought the property, but now I can reduce the interest and have a lower payment on my mortgage.
All right.
Okay, Mr.
You
Chair,
have
I have a
questions? Go
question.
ahead.
Yes, so at first Silvia Canetti was in the mortgage, and now you want her?
Right, so
I
she
don't
was,
understand.
she was a co-borrower when
Yes.
when he bought the house, because he needed her income to help him with the
Oh,
ratios.
okay,
Now
got
he's
it.
fine, and he got a better mortgage, so she's a friend. So
Oh,
she needs to
okay.
move on with her life and get a property and be able to, not have
Got it.
this liability. So he can do it on his own, and we recommend let him alone,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, and now you qualify.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Sure. Any other question? I'm okay.
Is this $40,000 ever going to be paid off?
No, the employee first-time homebuyer program was a very good program that we had. Unfortunately, we haven't had resources to continue it. It allowed an employee to live in the city and to give them $40,000 for a period of 10 years. After 10 years, the loan is forgiven. If he was to leave before then, he has to pay it off. But it was to help employees move into the city and become first-time homebuyers.
Do they have to live there the whole period, or they can?
They have to live there
move?
as a primary residence for the 10 years, yes.
Okay, okay, good. Thank you.
I have a question, it's for clarification. It's the refinance of the existing first mortgage to be replaced by a new mortgage?
Yes.
With a lower
Please state your
interest
name.
rate?
Right. So which is part of the authorization requested is to allow us to subordinate to the new mortgage as well.
Thank you.
Alfredo, you said this program does not exist anymore?
The program exists. The funding, which comes from general funds, has not been funded again. We're looking, when we have the opportunity, to resource it.
When is the last time it was funded?
This was 2 years ago?
I
2
see.
years ago?
All right,
Couple years ago.
thank you. All right, any other questions, comments?
I'll make a motion that we accept the staff
Please state your name.
recommendation. I'm sorry?
State your name, please.
Kevin Deeb,
Thank you.
motion to accept department's recommendation.
Gregory Gay, second.
All right, thank you. So we have Kevin and Gregory. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? None? Okay, motion passed. Thank you very much, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, what do we want to cover now? What number?
We can give Mr. Max some additional time and move on to old business. But Mr. Max is a very simple transaction. They're not here. I understand one of them is an elderly person, so they may be having trouble getting here. But we can try to do this, and if you'd like to hear from them before you make an action, then we can wait to see if they show up or when they show up. But let's go to number 3, item number 3. And that is staff's recommendation pertaining to the approval of the modification and assumption of the mortgage for Lorene Smith to Franklin Mack II. On April 9th, 2008, Lorene Smith executed a SHIP loan with the City of Miami in the amount of $150,000 as part of the city's replacement home program for her property located at 912 Northwest 65th Street. The mortgage is secured by a promissory note which requires the homeowner to maintain the subject property for 30 years as their primary residence. The borrowers were Mrs. Smith, who now is deceased, and Franklin Mack, her son, who was not residing in the property at the time of her death. The loan was called in default when Mr. Mack deeded his interest to his son. It was an unauthorized transfer of property. And the loan was declared in default. In 2017, at which time Mr. Mack agreed to execute a deed in lieu document which was prepared by the city attorney's office due to Mr. Mack not having an interest in keeping the property as his principal residence because he lived in Tamarack, Florida. So Mr. Mack, who was the co-borrower with Mrs. Smith, was her son, did not live in the property, deeded the property to his son, which was unauthorized. When we declared the loan in default, he then agreed to a deed in lieu to give the property to the city. The city attorney's office discussed several options with Mr. Mack and recommended to work with the department to cure the default. On June 5th, 2019, Mr. Mack executed a quitclaim deed transferring the title to his son, the grandson of Lorraine Smith, and his name is Franklin D. Mack II. Mack II lives in the property as his principal residence and has been residing in the property paying for the taxes and insurance since 2012. Franklin Mack has requested that the City of Miami approve the modification of the mortgage, agreeing to cure the default and allow Mack Jr. to assume the debt for the remaining affordability period of 17 years and to maintain the property as his principal residence as required by the terms of the State Housing Initiative Program. We have income certified him, and he is an eligible SHIP recipient. So it is our recommendation to approve to allow the continuation of the modification and the assumption of the mortgage agreement in favor of Franklin D. Mack II, as he is eligible and continues with the loan assistance under the program. So it's basically allowing the son of one of the borrowers and the grandson of the lady who was deceased to assume the mortgage and to live in the property as he has for the last many years, paying the tax and insurance. So he now becomes our borrower.
So I have a question, Mr. Chair. So you said they qualify or they do not
He
qualify?
does qualify.
They do qualify?
He does
As in-
qualify.
Okay,
Yes.
or he, I guess, he and his son.
As I understood the package, Mr. Mack Jr., or the person living on the property, cannot make payments on the loan. He's just making taxes and insurance.
Well, the reason he doesn't make any payments is because there aren't any. When the replacement home program, when we have funds available for it, will replace your home which is at a state of demolition, and we build you a brand new home for $150,000. That's what it cost us, and we give you that home. So there is no mortgage. There is a requirement, however, to live in the property for 30 years.
Okay.
So that is your requirement.
So what was in default then?
Huh?
You said something was in default, or they
It was in
were-
default because we gave it to his mother. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
it was in default?
yeah,
'cause
to his mother,
Oh, I see.
and she died, and her mother, and then it was his mother and her grandmother. I'm sorry, his grandmother and his father owned the property. The grandmother died. The father wasn't living in the property, but he was on title. When the grandmother died, the father deeded it to the son. That was unlawful. They had to come to us first for that. The son is the one who's living in the property, and that's who we are agreeing to allow to assume the loan.
Oh, okay.
So we're allowing that illegal transfer to become a legal transfer
Okay, right, got it. Okay.
So after the 30 years expires,
in 17 years.
right, then what does the city do? Quit claim?
No, the house is theirs.
I'm sorry?
The house would be theirs.
Okay. All right, so there's no formal way of documenting that ending?
Yes, the note in the mortgage. The note in the mortgage expired 30 years from the date that we executed it.
Yeah, at 17 years, Rick Appleton, Office of City Attorney, at 17 years, once that expires, we'll record a satisfaction of mortgage, basically saying that 17-year period has elapsed, they've complied with the loan for that time period,
We satisfy the mortgage.
and mortgage has been satisfied.
So in other words, there is a loan, there is a note, but they don't have to repay it.
Right.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Exactly. There's no payment, but there's a debt in the event you don't live in it.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you for the-
absent a breach of contract,
Well, it seems to
Yeah,
me
thank you.
that if Mr. Mack Jr., or second, is qualified and agrees to live in the property for the next 17 years, then the purpose of the loan is being met, and therefore I move that we approve the staff's recommendation.
I second. Was
I
it
I have a
motion?
question
Yeah.
before we vote. Are the requirements for taking over the property as the grandson wants to do the same as if someone were to apply for it today? Or is there a different requirement?
Exactly this, you mean as far as eligibility? It's the
Right.
same whether it's that program or any program that'll help you buy a home, the same requirements.
And he's gone through that and qualified, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I noticed in the property appraiser record that it hasn't been homestead exempted until 2020. And so from now on, the increases will be.
It'll be homestead exempted by Mr. Mack Jr.
Okay, very good. Mac Jr., right, which is already in his name. All right, any other comments? If they do show up, we'll give them public comment or anything like that.
All right.
Otherwise, let's take a vote.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? None. Motion passed as per staff recommendation.
Okay, so we're moving on to old business. Item number 5, which is staff recommendation pertaining to the subordination of a supplemental loan in the amount of $2,730,000 for Liberty Square Phase 1. Liberty Square Phase 1 consists of 6 garden-style mixed-income rental buildings of 3 stories each, located at 6512 Northwest 14th Avenue. On May 31st, 2017, the Housing and Commercial Loan Committee approved the department's recommendation to allocate $2 million in home funds to Liberty Square Phase 1 LLC for the development of Liberty Square Phase 1 project. The development has been completed and fully occupied by home-eligible tenants. In December 2019, HCLC approved an increase of the permanent first mortgage from $10.2 million to $12.6 million, which was in conjunction with the approval of a budget increase and change in unit mix. The developer was informed by their bond counsel that the existing first mortgage, Freddie Mac loan provided by Greystone in the amount of $10.26 million could not be increased, so the increase approved must be provided through a taxable supplemental loan by Greystone in the amount of $2,730,000. This action would result in having the first and second mortgage by Greystone on the project moving the city's loan to a third position. The time for moving this process along became of the essence as the developer were up against a closing time frame that if missed could result in the loss of commitment terms that could prove financial hardship to the project. It is felt by the administration that the financing structure change described did not present a material change to the city's previous approval, since the increased subordination amount was not significant. The reduction of lien position was also not material, as the city would only be subordinate to Greystone on both first and second mortgages. In order to assist the development with its scheduled closing timeline, and at the advice of our council, on March 1st, staff reached out to each of the members of the HCLC requesting authorization to move forward in lieu of presenting the matter at this meeting, which would cause Freddie Mac commitment to expire. Having received that authorization, staff proceeded with the subordination as described. This item is being presented to formally approve the request. We have a member of the development team to answer any questions, as am I.
All right, we'll open the podium for any public comment.
Good morning, Albert. Milo, if you have any questions, I'll walk you through it.
Let me see.
I don't understand, Mr. Milo, this income averaging. Can you explain what that means?
Yes. So, in part of the tax plan that was passed under the previous, under the Trump administration, and I guess the tax cuts, they added a provision in the low-income housing tax credit program that you're allowed to use, well, let me take a step back. So historically, the tax credit program units were capped at 60% of AMI. That's been the way it's been.
Mr. Milo, I hate to interrupt you. I'm a little bit hard of hearing. I have difficult, yes, please, thank you.
So, so historically, the program for the tax credits has always capped the units at 60% of air median income. That's the way it's been since 1986 until they amended the tax code a couple of years ago. So now part of that amendment says that you're able to rent units to families up to 80% of air median income, and it can still be a tax credit unit as long as the average income of all of your tax credit units do not exceed 60%. So that was the modification in the tax law, and that's why it's income averaging. So if I have some units that are tax credit units and they're 30% or 40 or 50%, like a low home unit, I can then have a higher income AMI as long as when I average them, they don't exceed 60%. So we are using that income average model along all of our projects. I think it was a great modification to the program. There are a lot of people that fell off the chart at the 60%. Now we can go up to 80 as long as we average 60.
Is that change permanent or from now
Permanent.
on, or, okay?
Permanent change unless,
Yeah,
new administrations change it again. But yeah, it's permanent for now. And we fully support that. I think it was a tremendous modification to the program that had been in existence for 30 some odd years.
So is this, in other words, like you're using the future advance clause in this, or you're just changing or amending, or what?
This particular item?
Right.
Or that question on income averaging?
No.
This item, yeah, so we had a permanent commitment. So with income averaging, we were able to they have a better income stream. So that allowed us to have a better permanent mortgage, right? However, we had done a forward commitment with Freddie Mac. So we had an amount that we previously locked in. And so with income averaging, we were able to increase that amount. However, we wanted to do it all as one note, as an A note, but since it was a forward commitment, we had to break it up into an A note and a B note. So what we're talking about here now, we've closed on our A note already, so we're just asking for the ability to finalize and close on that B note.
So between the A and the B, is your constant going to be approximately the same, or
The proceeds are up like $500,000-$600,000 between the A and the B note.
Okay, on the B, is that maturing ahead of the A, or is that per
No.
pursuit?
Par pursuit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good finance.
Yeah.
One more question. I noticed in the language, you mentioned that this new mortgage is taxable.
Yes.
I didn't quite understand that. Could you explain that and the consequences of it?
So the A note, again, we had a forward commitment. It was part of our tax exempt bond transaction. So I forget the exact numbers on there, but it was 20-something million dollars, and we had that locked in as a tax exempt bond deal. When we now are requesting these additional proceeds, this B note, it would exceed the original tax exempt bond allocation that we started with in the project. So you can't go retroactive and change that.
That's federal income tax?
Yeah, so the B note is gonna carry a little bit higher interest and it'll be taxable. The A note is tax exempt.
Okay. So we need a motion.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion as presented by staff and then as discussed internally in consistency with the recommendations.
I will second that motion. Alan Hall.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? None? Okay, motion passed as per staff recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Milo.
Don't go too far, Mr. Manu. Okay, item 6, thank you. Item 6 is a similar situation. It's staff recommendation pertaining to the subordination of a supplemental loan in the amount of $475,000 for Smathers Preservation Phase 1. On June 15, 2016, the Housing and Commercial Loan Committee approved up to $400,000 in home funds and $600,000 in affordable housing trust funds to Smathers Preservation Phase 1 LLC for the development of Smathers Preservation Phase 1 project. The city's loan was in a third lien position behind $4.8 million from Bank of America, $3.8 million from Miami-Dade County Surtax. The project has been completed and is leased to eligible tenants. Subsequently to the city's approval, increases in the median income levels resulted in the project being able to support an increase in the project's private first mortgage of $475,000. Due to the restrictions of the bond financing, Bank of America would have to provide the additional funds in the form of a supplemental taxable loan. This would result in the cities having an increased exposure of $475,000 and lowering the lien position from third to fourth position. It is felt that the administration that the financing structure change described did not present a material change to the city's previous approval since the increased subordinated amount was not significant. The reduction of lien position was also not material, as the city would only be subordinate position behind Bank of America and Surtax, as originally approved. The time for moving this process along also became of the essence, as the developers were up against a closing time frame that, if missed, could result in the loss of commitment terms that could prove financial hardship to the project. In order to assist the development with its scheduled closing timeline, and at the advice of our council, on March 1st, staff reached out to each of the members of the Housing and Commercial Loan Committee requesting authorization to move forward in lieu of presenting the matter at this meeting, which would have caused Bank of America commitment to expire. Having received that authorization, staff proceeded with the subordination as described. And again, this item is being presented to formally approve by this, for you to formally approve this request. Again, the developers are here as we are.
All right. Thank you. We'll open the podium again. Public comment.
Albert Milo, President, Related Urban, if there are any questions, but same fact pattern.
Okay, just a minute.
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Malo, when you make these apartments available,
Alan, I can't quite hear you myself.
thank you. Mr. Milo, when you make these apartments available, it's my understanding, I'm not sure I'm checking that right, that you have how do you attribute, do you have enough applicants to fill the units? And if you have too many, how do you deal with that?
Oh, yeah. This particular project is an elderly project, so we, in all of these instances, we usually are oversubscribed. We have more residents than we have units. So in that case, there's always a lottery-based system, which we work with the city and the county to provide units on that basis, and then the residents that are unable to get a unit in the first batch of units remain on the list, and as vacancies arise, we sort through the list. Actually, It's a great question. We're in the process of finishing another new construction building on that same site, which it'll be done in about 4 or 5 months. And we're going to start working with the city, because you guys have that provision. It's 60 days prior to lease up, where we have to notify and work and start preparing the list of residents. I actually just met with the district commissioner yesterday on that project. It's a project you guys supported in 2 tranches to make it more affordable. You might recall it was Gallery at Smathers. So, yeah, we're going to start that process now. There's an outreach process. We start to get that word out through the community, and residents start to sign up. And unfortunately, yes, usually we're oversubscribed to the amount of units when we put, especially in the elderly projects.
When you have that excess, do people stay on a list, as you say they do, but if you have a new building, do you have to create a new list, or does the same list can be used in different buildings?
Great point. Unfortunately, the answer to having to create a new list is yes, because in every project, we have to go through the process. And that process is the 60-day notice, get the word out, allow folks to come in, and then so if you're in project A and you found out about how to get your name on the list for project A, and there's a time window for you to come in and apply, right? It's a week or 10 days or so, and now I have project B 6 months later opening, and you happen to have not been able to come during the time frame for project A, I have to give the same opportunity to everyone once again in the new timeline for project B. So unfortunately, the lists are not transferable between projects, but that doesn't preclude a resident that may have not had the opportunity to make or get a unit in the first round in project A to 6 months later put his name again in the project B list. So they're not precluded from doing that, but we can't just kind of take the list from one project to the next. We're not allowed to do that.
Thank you. If there's nobody from the public that wants to speak to this issue, I'm perfectly willing to make the motion to approve based upon staff's recommendation. So this is my motion. Alan Hall.
I second Nancy Gashino.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments from the committee? So we've got a first from Alan, a second from Nancy. And, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? None. Motion passed for the Smathers preservation as per staff recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Milo. Mr. Milo, I have a question for you. How many units has Urban Related provided in the community?
We have in the city of Miami, in the Miami-Dade, city of Miami?
City of Miami.
We are probably now getting close to 3,000 over the last 6-7 years. And we have several thousand more in the pipeline. We have a project that we just submitted, this week. That's going to be one of our new gallery brands with the mixed income approach of 80/20s. That's almost 500 units in the West Brickell area. We're working on the Liberty Square, as you guys just heard there. That's 50 acres in the city, about 1,500 units when it's all said and done. We're almost done. We just finished the second phase. We're almost done with the third phase, which totals about 600 units. We're getting ready to start the fourth phase. We're working on the River Park master plan across from the Marlins Stadium. you guys did in the first part, Martin Fine Villas. There's, we have 2,500 units there in that master plan. 3 round towers, that's close to another 1,000 units when we build the third phase. So we've done about close to 3,000 now over the last several years, and I would say we got probably 4,000 or 5,000 more in the pipeline and different
And
projects.
that's City of Miami. And then how about in the county?
Yeah, through the county, we probably have another 1,500 units and, in the county, and we have other large-scale projects outside. We have a big redevelopment in Tampa, similar to Liberty Square. So we have 3,000, 4,000 units there. We've got some stuff in Palm Beach that we're working on, Broward, Orlando. So most of our projects have been Central Florida down. We haven't really done anything past Orlando in the Tampa area. But all in all, probably 6,000, 7,000 units in there.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, next item on the agenda is board membership.
Yes, other business. So I believe the last meeting, Mr. Mensah updated you as to some of the restructuring that we are in the process of engaged in as a result of Florida statute changes to the AHAC. As you know, you are the HCLC, the Housing and Commercial Loan Committee, and you're also the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. And that Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, which meets maybe twice a year, it's to deal with issues pertaining to the SHIP program from the state. The state mandated that the structure of the AHAC be such that include an elected official on that board. Now, the elected official would only serve on the AHAC, not on the HCLC. So we had to make some changes in our ordinance to make sure that we made that distinction of what the AHAC and what the HCLC, the roles and membership specifics. In that process, we realized that we have some members of our board right now whose terms have expired. Our terms are for 4 years. And so when that happens, we need to reapply again. And that's why I sent emails to all of you, not to some of you. You may not have known because you are still within your time frame. There are 3 members currently that are within their time frame. For those that are not in their time frame, we communicated to you to, if you wish to continue to serve, to reapply. And I believe all of you have. Now, there still are 3 vacant positions. 1 vacant position is an appointment by the city manager, so we need to contact the city manager and have him make that appointment, which was Mr. Joe Eisenberg, who...
Excuse me, do you mind loosening your mask or taking it off, because I can't quite make it out?
May I, Nancy, it's okay with you?
Thank you so much.
So, as I was saying, is that those that are still here, that their appointments are still active, which are 3 of you, was not communicated, was not contacted by me, but I contact, and so those positions you need to reapply. And I believe all of you have reapplied, with the exception of Mr. Johnson. I believe he's opted out, and we thank him for his service. Here publicly, I would like to thank him for his years of service. His position is vacant, as are 3 other positions, which we need to fill, so we will re-advertise again. How this works is that we would make recommendations to the city commission, and they then ratify or approve that recommendation and recommend that board so we can reconvene again. So that's going to be happening in the near future.
You were talking about, you started talking about Joe. What happened with Joe? Eisen?
Pardon?
Joe?
Joe Eisenberg, I'm sorry, he went to, I think, Washington?
Yeah, Joe took a new job.
Oh, he moved. Oh, I didn't know. Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
good, congratulations to him.
Yeah.
So we are, so we're in the process of doing that. So it's important. I wanted you guys to reapply, which you have. Thank you, because we would, love for you to continue your service to our board. And 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 we need to do a reappointment of the chairman as well, as the chairman in this board is an appointee of the mayor. So we need to proceed with that process. But that's where we're at. And I just wanted to give you an update, and that's why I reached out to those that are in need of reapplying, and we will move forward with that legislation in the very near future. But we will have to reapply for the positions that are vacant. Just wanted to bring you an update on that.
So is there something that we have to do?
You don't.
No,
You-
I don't.
You
Is that
don't.
a-
You're okay.
Okay.
You're one of those that are okay.
Okay, good.
'Cause as is Mr. Rutledge and as is Erica, who's an appointee of the manager.
Okay, thank you.
And you say there are 3 vacancies?
Yes. There are vacancies.
Are they defined in terms of certain credentials that they have to have?
The vacancies that are vacant, okay, so that's seat 1, residential home builder. Seat 2, banking and mortgage industry, active in banking and mortgage industry. There's a city manager appointee, and a representative represents employers within the city. Those are the 4 positions.
I saw that about representing employers. What does that mean? Maybe an attorney? Is it that
Yeah, it could be
does
an attorney that
employment?
represents employers or
Does
labor person or something like that. Okay. Just wanted to bring that up to you. So that's why, just give you an update why we're reaching out to you for this.
Are you asking us to recruit some members? Is that what?
If
it
you
is?
know anyone for those, by all means, have them, but we will reapply, we will re-advertise again, and
Okay.
you can have them apply for those that are vacant. If you want more information on those vacancies, ask Patty, and she'll give you specifics on that. Okay?
All right.
If no questions, all right. Then the last thing, we'd just like to give you some program updates of what we've been doing lately. So we have a number of incentives that we put out and to help our residents. One of them is our emergency rental assistance program. The city received $14 million from the U.S. Treasury, and this program is going to be in effect. We're accepting applications until the end of April. It's a program that helps anyone who is behind in their rent up to $2,000 per month, 12 months in arrear, and also up to 3 months progressively going forward, up to a maximum of $24,000 per household. So that's being, it's a program that is open right now, and there's an application online that people can apply for if they are in this type of situation. We also have the homeownership preservation program, which also we will be accepting applications until the end of this month. This is a program that is that is being funded through the City of Miami's Miami Forever Bond. We allocated $4 million in tranche 1. And what this program is geared to do is to help our homeowners in securing the envelope of their homes, to strengthen their homes for the weather activities and weather circumstances that we have in South Florida, by virtue of repairing or replacing roofs, windows, doors, impact windows, shutters, things like that, up to $70,000 per household. We also have the Keep Safe Miami program, and this is in partnership with Enterprise Community Partners. They have put out a tool online that will allow owners of multifamily, small-scale, what are known as NOAHs, naturally occurring affordable housing projects of 20 units or less, that are in need of resiliency upgrades. And so the tool will evaluate their properties and give them guidance as to what type of retrofits they can have, and the city proffered $500,000, which was approved, up to $100,000 per project. So we can help ultimately up to 5 projects of $100,000 to make their projects more resilient. In return, as you know, these NOAHs, these small projects, market conditions are allowing these developers or these owners to go ahead and rent them at market rates. By providing this assistance, it will allow those rents to be maintained at levels that an 80% of median income person can afford. So it's an exchange of benefits to the city and to the residents and to the property owners. Finally, we've put out the city owns, not a lot, but we own some property, some land. We have 8 lots in District 5 of the city, single-family lots that are suitable for single-family and or twin homes. And we currently have an RFP, which will be until May 17th. It'll be available till May 17th. And in that RFP, we are reaching out to contractors that can provide us with a design-build concept on a home on these lots, so they can proffer, these are the lots, these are the models that I can build for you, this is the price, we'll select them, and we will build them and make them available for first-time home buyer opportunities for low-income families. And that would be the city building these properties ourselves as developers. And so I just wanted to bring that up to you. That's what we're doing. As far as our pipeline application continues to be open for for any type of project under our bond or any other financing that we make available. And so that's open, and Mr. Milo mentioned a project that's coming in through that pipeline. So we're welcoming any and all developers who have or potentially will have a development with affordable housing to look at that RFP and to apply, regardless of whatever stage in your development plan you are. It is a process that allows us to maintain a thumb on the affordable opportunities that are coming.
I love that. I have a question. Thank you for the updates on all this. I guess I have 2 questions. The first one is, there is this emergency rental assistance program. Does the city also help homeowners to pay their mortgages?
We did. We had a mortgage assistance program. We spent all that money. If more money comes from the federal government, we will open that up again.
Okay. And the other one, you said that you are you're welcoming new developers, and what kind of, because I would like to apply, but I don't have extensive career in construction. For the last one that you mentioned.
Okay,
there's
yeah.
little single houses. So do you guys request that it's,
You do have to have
like
experience.
a lot of experience? I mean, I do have experience, but I'm young and starting
You do have
out.
experience. I don't know. I'm gonna rely on him as far as any conflict of interest issues here. If she applies for the RP, I don't know.
Okay.
But
I don't know.
No, but we do. Okay, just to answer your question.
Yeah.
In theory, we do require experience.
Okay.
At least 3 years of experience
Yeah,
building
no, I have that.
building single family
Okay.
and or twin homes. It's really, if you know how to build it, because you don't have to
Yeah.
market it, you don't have to sell it,
Yeah.
which is the interesting part of affordable housing is the financing and getting people ready for that.
But there would be, I guess, conflict of interest. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm just,
Probably.
yes, since there might be some
Contact
conflict of
me.
interest issue, I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure.
Yeah, I'll check out the ethics issue.
Okay,
and-
got it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Duran. Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Chair.
thank you. All right, so is there any other items of business?
No, sir, that's
All
it.
right. Well, thank you to everyone. Thank you to staff, committees. And we will adjourn, and time is 10:16.
Thank
Everyone
you,
have a
Mr.
nice
Chair.
weekend.
Thank you, everybody.